solder with? There's an in-person class we'll probably do tips on soldering to start as well, because it's not actually that difficult, but there are a few things that are necessary to know beforehand, like doing what I just did, known as tinning the soldering iron. Okay, let me pull up the instructions here, make sure I'm not messing anything up horribly. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to install, which is kind of an essential component to fuzzes, is the diode. The diode is this little device right here. I can't even get it to focus on camera, it's so thin. Yeah, I can't even get it to focus on camera, but diodes in traditional fuzz and some overdrive circuits provide clipping. You run the signal through them, it gets cut off at a certain frequency range. That's what causes the fundamental as well on old school fuzzes to be less noticeable and what can kind of cut a lot of the mid-range out, but also what gives it that grimy sound. So let's go ahead and install that. As you can see, again, the focus. Is there a way to make it like focus up closer? If I'm holding it up like this, I'm just trying to point out the whole thing in the diagram.
I think like it's like put something behind, like try to get something behind it a little bit more, because it's trying to focus on your hand.
Oh yeah.
So
like, put my hand like that. Oh, almost.
There you go. It's pretty close. You could try a piece of paper behind it too.
I'll try it. That's a little better. Okay, so the diode goes. The diode goes across this little part right here, which is labeled, and I think the text is actually too small to see on the camera, but it's labeled with a little D. Most PCBs for pedal kits will have those labels. A diode is one of the electric parts that is, that is polarized. The direction of it is important, and it has a little guide on the PCB. The little diode, the little diode thing that I pointed out, you might notice that it's got a large section and a little stripe on the bottom, so you got to match up the stripe on the actual diode. Let me get this to focus. Oh yeah, so you got to match up the little black stripe on the actual diode with the little stripe on the PCB. So let's take off this little bit of paper and get to doing that.
Check, checking the mic.
So, got the diode. Got the diode in place here, and now I've just got to solder it, which I do recommend getting a soldering iron or using a soldering iron that has little alligator clip things. It makes these tiny PCBs so much easier to work with.
Check, check, check. Can y'all hear now? You can just keep talking. I'll be able to check the audio in the next.
Yeah, okay. Alright, just making sure this is all good. Nothing wrong with these. Okay, so yeah, like before, you can just insert these in the wire like that.
Check, check. Can y'all hear now?
Leave a little space just to make sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna leave a little space here just to make sure I can actually get in there with the soldering iron. This is kind of the frustrating part with the larger pieces, but that's okay. In the wire like that. Leave a little space. I think I need to turn it a little bit like this.
All right, sorry everyone for the audio issues. Yeah, I think we finally got this. For anyone who's continued to watch through the silence, you are awesome. We are building a 7-minute fuzz pedal here at the Library of Music Landria as part of our Instrument Builder Meetup. It's a monthly group that we're starting now. This is our first one. And we want to build community and bring together people that are stoked on building instruments to share ideas, to let us know what kind of projects you're working on, and just kind of skill share. I think it would be super cool to ultimately build some projects together, and that's kind of what this is preempting. So Jeb and I really want to do a group workshop where we get a room full of people or a handful of people to come into the library and we can all build a fuzz pedal together. So yeah, we're kind of going through that process now and trying to identify some potential bugs that we can kind of work out before we do the group workshop. So let me know in the comments if you're working on any projects right now or if you're interested in joining a community of people that are stoked on building instruments or interested in learning how to build instruments. All right.
So in the interim there, I got the larger capacitor installed, and now I'm just slotting the smaller one into place. I can turn it this way now, finally. Okay.
In that shot, it really looks like you're gonna solder your hair.
I know, I am always worried about soldering my hair, but I haven't done it yet, so.
All right, so the play-by-play, we've soldered, we got a kit, and this is a 7-minute fuzz kit. We've already soldered on the resistor, the diode. Can you point to those real fast, Jay?
Yeah, so we got the diode, this tiny little guy right here.
Yep.
The resistor, the transistor, and then the larger and the smaller capacitors are all now soldered into place.
Cool. And can you read off the parts list again? Because I think we were muted when we did that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, so overcoming those issues. Yeah, so the diode is a BAT41 diode. That's kind of like the main thing in the fuzz pedal is what causes the clipping and therefore the fuzz. The resistor is a 10K resistor. It's just another part of the circuit. Capacitors are, the larger one is 1 microfarad, and the smaller one is 100 nanofarads, which I'm pretty sure is a tenth the size of the larger one. And then the transistor is an MPSA 13 transistor, which I'm not terribly familiar with transistor terminology, but that's what it is. And then the final part we've got here is a 100K ohm potentiometer. I'll go put my hand there so you can see it, which I'm actually about to install next. So this fuzz pedal is super simple. All it is the only control it has, there we go, is this volume knob, and the rest of it just kind of happens. There is actually a modification you can make where you replace the transistor down here with a potentiometer, but that's something that can be talked about in the future if we do this in person. So let's get to installing this. Just check the directions again to make sure I don't do anything questionable.
All right. Also, so just in case, I think I was talking about this when the mic wasn't, when the mic was muted. We've got the soldering iron set to 390 degrees. Again, the reason for that is to make sure that the solder melts quick enough to not potentially burn or overheat your components. If you linger with the soldering iron on a component for too long, it can definitely destroy or wreck the component. So making sure that your soldering iron is at a good temperature to quickly melt the solder is really important, and a good thing to sort of get into part of your regular practice. So we won't focus too much on soldering today, just because this is just more about like, hey, how long is it going to take to actually build a 7-minute fuzz?
Yeah, so I just gotta make sure I line up all of these little tines correctly. Sure they don't want me to. Yeah, that's impossible.
All right, so what else? Check out musiclandria.com. I'm posting a lot of our events now to our website under the events page. So if you want to kind of keep up to date with the next time we're going to do an instrument builder meetup, that's a good place to look. I'm also starting to post a bunch of our events onto meetup.com. So yeah, you can kind of stay up to date with what we're doing here at the library on either of those sites.
Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. Potentiometer is now slotted into place. Sometimes these are really irritating to get into the PCB, but just had to bend this one a little bit, and now it's all good.
Can you show the bottom?
Yeah, I was about to show the bottom. Yeah, and so those little tines can just go right through there. Actually, you can't really see in the camera, but yeah, the tines on the potentiometer are going right through. So I'm just going to solder them in place really carefully here, as to not knock off my little balancing act here.
Should get a different angle for the soldering because it's like totally blocked when there's.
Oh yeah, yeah. If I was left-handed, this would be perfect, but yeah, that should work. Oh yeah, now I can come in at this angle and you can really see more. Oh, actually, I missed.
The funny thing about this build is, again, dealing with like the audio aspect of this whole thing. Well, testing this was going to be interesting because I'm not sure if part of this build includes the 1/4 inch like output.
It does have mini output and input jacks plus a DC. It doesn't have a foot switch, but you can test it without the foot switch.
That'll be interesting to see, like, once we get it built, if we're able to like actually test the way that it sounds. When we get to the end of the build, we'll sort of figure that out. Maybe we'll try and squeeze that into this stream, or if not, maybe we can just do a follow-up stream once we have like it set up to actually test the audio. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I'll see how it comes together as I put these last few parts on.
So what else do you have to? What are the final steps?
So now I've basically got all of the like core parts on here. This is essentially a populated PCB, as they would say. There's a few more things I need to do. I need to connect the power supply, which here's just going to be a 9-volt. I do have a 9-volt plug, but for testing, I think I'm just going to connect the 9-volt battery one, and then also connecting up the jacks to make sure that it can actually be used.
Sweet. So it comes with an input and an output jack for the 1/4 inch?
Yeah. I think the only thing this kit doesn't really come with is enclosure and foot switch. It's like a big thing. But it comes with wires and obviously all of the PCB parts themselves.
Okay, sweet. So this is actually, I'm going to interject in here real quick.
Oh yeah.
So during the beginning of this stream, it might have been muted, but one of my like little rants was talking about how one of my challenges trying to build things without a kit is being able to find the parts. So the part that I'm missing right now and trying to figure out how to order the correct one is a little a barrel for an input jack for power. So these things come in tons of different sizes, and I'm trying to figure out which one to get for a project that I'm working on. And if anyone watching this has any feedback on the correct way to I guess I could measure this thing, but I don't have like a micrometer or whatever those things are called. But I want to find one that is standardized to like a 1-spot. So I can just plug a 1-spot into my device and just have 9 volts go through the circuit. So yeah, if anyone has any tips on ordering these, that would be super rad. And I want to find one that works with a standard 1-spot for a 9-volt power supply. So I've been calling this just a barrel jack, but I don't even know if that's the correct word for it. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you know a good spot to order these, and if no one knows, maybe we can check the parts list that came with the 7-minute fuzz and see if it's identified on there, like a model number or a part number for that thing, because it looks like it would work with a 1-spot.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to. Hopefully it's not some weird Australian thing that I accidentally purchased. But the 9-volt battery will work, and that's what I'm going to do today anyways, so.
Okay, sweet. Dang, yeah, we didn't even have a 1-spot here, huh? I was going to say that would be awesome to try and just see if it actually fits. It looks like the right size, but sometimes you can't tell just by looking at it.
Put this back in the clip. Yeah, there's also, this is less related to pedals, but whenever I bought my first guitar pedal ever, which was an Ibanez tube screamer, I suppose it was for a lot of people, I couldn't find any pedal power supplies, like Guitar Center was out of them somehow, and I went to Best Buy and I found this like generic 9-volt power supply, like it was supposed to cover like a range of voltages and amperages for like all kinds of old devices that use the circular connection. And I could not get it to work. And after a bunch of searching, I found out that most technology that is not related to music that uses those kind of power supplies has like, I don't remember if it's negative on the inside, positive on the outside, but regardless, the polarity is opposite what all guitar pedals use for whatever reason.
Yep, that's a thing. That's a real thing. So yeah, to anybody who's not familiar with that kind of terminology, many power supplies, and this is pretty important to actually getting your pedal to work. There's a couple different ways that power supplies work. So the jack that I was kind of showing you a second ago, let me show the center of this again. So the very middle, see how there's like a little pin on the center? So some power supplies will route the negative signal to the center pin and the positive signal to the outside. So that means that it's a negative center power supply, but then others will reverse it. So the negative signal or the ground will go to the outside, the ring, and the positive will go to the center. And if you use the wrong polarity on a pedal, it could damage the pedal, right? So if I use a negative center power supply on one that needs a positive center power supply, that can break the pedal. So yeah, tips and tricks, y'all. All right, so where are we at?
Yeah, so now I'm just wiring up, actually I can show, if I can get to focus a bit of the wiring diagram here.
It's tricky. I had a hard time with that too.
Let's try like that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so right now I'm wiring up like well, this is kind of more simplistic than you would do it if you actually have a foot switch and stuff, because you want to be able to turn it on and off. But for now, just to test the effect, I'm wiring up the battery pack and the input-output jacks. So this is just a simple wiring diagram for that kind of thing on a pedal like this. Once I put that together, actually I think we should be able to test it. This should only take a minute because there's just a few solders I have to make for this, and have to find a 9-volt battery. But
okay,
I'll show this one around. Yeah, so next step here. So yeah, I got the battery. The positive terminal for the battery is now hooked on to the corresponding spot in the PCB, and then the other side goes to, I believe the tip. No, sorry, this the ring input of the jack. There we go. Getting all my words today.
so maybe we can try and show how that works, because some people might not be aware how to identify which is which.
Oh yeah. So for an is this in focus? Yeah, it is. So for any 1/4-inch jack like this, they're all pretty much the same. You have two main points to solder here. One connects to this little like ring thing you can see in the middle, and is distinct from this other one, which connects to the more obviously named part, the tip, which is where the actual 1/4-inch jack will go in. Contact with this, and the signal comes through this part. The ring, I believe, normally is kind of like a ground, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, this is good to show. Yeah, so on the inside of all 1/4-inch jacks, this is what it ends up looking like whenever you plug something into it. So it contacts this little tip part, and then this black line basically separates the top metal part from the bottom metal part, and so you have two different areas that the jack can make contact with.
Yep.
The
Tip for the
plug.
sleeve. Cool. Hopefully that makes sense. If anyone has any questions about that, feel free to comment, or come to our next instrument builder meetup.
Yes. Okay. So, what are they doing again? Alright, this goes to the ring.
So another interesting or potentially useful comment about this part is this, if you get this part wrong, it's really low stakes, right? So I think a lot of maybe new people that are new to building electronic stuff, they'll be like really worried that, hey, if I put the wrong wire in the wrong spot, it can break the thing, which is definitely true, but not for every part. So I kind of feel like maybe I shouldn't be talking about this, but yeah, do electronic projects very carefully, but I think I think it's worthwhile and useful to point out that like if you wire a cable backwards, it won't blow anything up. Definitely make sure that anytime you're building something that you're not doing it while it's plugged in, right? There's no electricity being supplied to the circuit. Be really careful when there's actual voltage going to your build. But yeah, just note that like, hey, if you get the cables backwards for your quarter-inch inputs or outputs, you can just switch them after the fact, right? You can just resolder them later if you have them backwards. So no worries there. You won't blow anything up. All right. So
I'm realizing that I should take the washers and stuff off before I continue with this.
all right. So we're just gonna unwash this. It came nice and clean, and we're gonna unwash it.
I have a pedal in my apartment where the washers for the potentiometer is stuck inside of the pedal, and it doesn't really matter, it doesn't affect anything, but I'm just too lazy to open it up and get them back out because it would be super irritating.
Nice.
Okay, wait, I'm actually gonna hook that part up last. I'm gonna start somewhere else. Oh gosh, I should be color coding my wires, but I didn't think about that ahead of time.
Oh, all right, everyone yell at Jeb in the comments for not color coordinating the wires.
Yeah, I'm just going to strip a few bits of wire here quickly so that I can have connections coming out of the PCB onto where I need them to go. So that's probably a good length. Yeah, that's good.
So when trimming wires, it's good to kind of roughly eyeball how long you need the wire to be. I guess different people have very different perspectives on this, but me being a huge cable management person, I love trying to get super precise on how long a piece of cable should be so it's not like a mess when it's all kind of put together. It's really satisfying for me as an OCD cable management folk to have, like, when you open up a device, to have it be like super neat and really well organized. I geek out on that. So, but lots of different styles. Womp womp womp.
Yeah, even though I'm being messy here, I'll say I agree with that. There's not too much going on here, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, we'll make this guy our output jack then. Oh. Okay, let's go back to more wires on the PCB. I'm actually just gonna go ahead. Let's see. Put this in a view a little better. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and add all the necessary wires to this. I figure there's no reason not to at this point. Alright, so there's the out wire. Now I'm adding the in wire. Left-handed mode now. Please don't make fun of my shaky hands. Ah, shit. Alright, never mind. You can make fun of my shaky hands now. As the in out wires, the ground wire actually is going to be going to 2 different places, so I'm going to do a short one and then connect a long one to it.
Alright, where are you at?
So now I'm just connecting all the wires to the PCB so that they can be more easily ready to connect to the actual output jacks. Then I won't have to touch the PCB anymore, which will make this, I think, a little more straightforward.
So wait, are you gonna use this part on your build?
Not right now. I think whenever I get a foot switch for this, that's when I would put that on.
If you're not gonna use it, I'll buy it from you. Okay, so where do I find the parts list? Does it have that on a website?
Yeah, so
what's the URL for that?
it's DIY guitar pedals or DIY guitar pedal kits.au, I think. It's an Australian company. But if you search 7-minute fuzz, it should all come up right away on Google.
7-minute fuzz. On DIYguitarpedal.com. Okay, cool.
Oh, it is .com. I really thought it was .au.
Yeah, I think it is. Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna try and add a new a share screen on this real quick. Bear with me. Screen capture. Boom. screen. I think you can. Okay, so yeah. So I want to pull up the site real fast for the DIYguitars.com.au. 7-minute fuzz. Boom, let's click on this one. And I'm going to try to find the parts list. So here's the bill of materials that we were talking about a second ago. This is great, but it doesn't show the barrel, which I'm really, really, really obsessing over right now because I want to find one for my project. If I scroll down, this kind of, no, that's not the barrel. That's the transistor, I think. So
Yeah.
Q1, Q stands for transistor. That's the code for that, just so y'all know. If I scroll down further, there it is, miniature DC jack. So this is what I'm looking for. And the cool thing about this one is it does fit a, this thing does fit a one spot. So I've got this one spot extender and I tested it on here to see if it was the right fit, and this is perfect. So if Jed's, I'm gonna peer pressure them right now, but if they're not gonna end up using this thing, I'm gonna buy it from them. But I think the better solution again is figuring out how to source these things. So so if I go back to their site, I want to see if they give a part number for this, because okay, it's great to know that it's called a miniature DC jack, but I still need to know the dimensions of the inside of this thing and how to get this specific one. So let's kind of scroll through this real quick and see if they actually have a part number for this. That's cool that they show that the shorter lug is for negative and the longer lug is for positive. But that's just about the lugs. This is a drill guide, so we'll skip over that for now. Search for DC jack and see. Using a non-switched miniature DC jack. No. DC jack, again, no part number. Alright. I'm not feeling optimistic about this. Yeah, so no luck. They just call it a miniature DC jack. So what I'll probably end up doing is just kind of searching on Mauser or DigiKey to try to find the right one, and maybe I can find a micrometer to be able to measure the inside of that thing and be able to get the right size. So again, if anyone watching this has any experience purchasing or sourcing individual components for electronics projects, I could use some help finding a DC jack, a miniature DC jack that fits a one spot. Alright.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, because this guitar pedal company's thing is like they will sell you the PCB components, but their main thing, and I think where they do most of their business, is just selling blank PCBs that people then figure out the parts and order them for themselves. So they must have their own like preferred places to buy parts. I'm curious what that is.
Right. Yeah, that would be another good thing, is just like contacting people who already do this and be like, where do you get your parts from?
Yeah.
Right. I imagine, I have no clue. I know that I'm pretty certain that they're going to be able to like get them wholesale or probably buy in bulk. But that was one of my challenges when I was on DigiKey the other day. I found a capacitor that I needed to buy for a project, and I looked for bulk, and it was like, hey, you need to buy 50,000 of these to get the bulk price. So I literally spent an entire day trying to put a parts list together, and at the end of the day, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting so much of my time. So it's like, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
you having fun?
I'm just trying to. I'm in the wire jungle right now. I'm trying to get this. Trying to split this ground output using these wires. There we go. Okay, now I've got all the wires connected, and I've got 2 ground outputs that I'll cover with electrical tape later to go to the appropriate 1/4" jacks. Okay.
So this is the fun part of the builds when you start adding wires and it just becomes like
Just comes all over the place.
spaghetti.
Especially, I don't even have a foot switch. If there's a foot switch, it would be even more all over the place. Sorry, let's get out of this. Okay. Oh yeah, put all the wire in there.
Cool. All right, if anyone in the comments or anyone watching has any questions, feel free to add them and we'll try and address them. And once again, for folks who are just tuning in, let us know what kind of projects you're interested in or working on at the moment.
Should be using the clips for this too.
Oops, blocked.
Oh, you're right. You're doing that. It's left-handed soldering time.
Also, that smoke went like right towards your face.
I know.
It always does. Yeah. No matter what, it will go in the one direction that it should not go. 100% of the time. Just beelines for your nostrils.
I actually do wonder, like, I definitely don't and probably will never do enough soldering for it to be a serious issue for me. But I wonder about people who work, like, for a small-time guitar pedal company. Like, do they have issues because they're breathing in possibly lead-containing solder all day?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, long term for sure. Yeah. Not good for you.
More left-handed soldering action. That last one wasn't so bad, though.
Blocked again. Let's get a better angle. How do we get a good angle for this?
Almost like straight above would be like really the best angle, but
Let's see if I can do that. I have to get behind you. All right, hang in there. We're gonna move the camera. Hold on to your seats.
ready to do this one anyways. actually.
Alright, cool. So if you just want to kind of reference that screen every once in a while just to see if you're in frame.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so there, now I have the input and output connections made, and I just need to add in the ground and sleeve outputs. Okay. This one, okay, so the output doesn't get a ring connection. The input gets a ring connection to this motherfucker. Oh yeah, you can see that tab very nicely there.
Nice. Should have started with this angle, but wah, 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 you live and learn. Getting better, I think, I hope. I'm thinking about creating a Twitch channel too for this whole thing. You think I should do that?
I mean, it's not a bad idea if we're doing streaming. That's the big way to get reach is through Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch.
I'm so unfamiliar with Twitch personally. I don't know if you've done.
I've gotten really familiar with it over the past month because I've been watching people play Magic and Storybook Brawl on there. And actually, my favorite one that I've seen, that's like my guilty pleasure, right? After like a long day, I'm just like, oh, dude, I just need to like zone out and watch someone play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
But like my favorite thing that I've seen on Twitch is actually some dude building a noise device. So he just like went live and was streaming on there, like documenting himself, just creating this really weird noise instrument. And I was like, that's cool.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
But I was the only one watching. So I don't think there's like a big community for it on Twitch, but still, I wish there was more of that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, I'd like, the only times I ever watch Twitch are to watch people do like weird shit. Not to watch like not to watch the popular video game or whatever. Yeah. Not to rag on video games, but I can only watch so much League of Legends. And by so much, I mean very little. Okay, and now all I have to do is the ground connections. So what's the best? Oh, let's do it with that one.
Can you connect it while watching the screen? See if you can do that.
Oh, yeah, like a remote surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if I can do that.
Cheating. Cheated.
What? Oh, well, at least let me get into place. I'm just gonna get confused with my hands otherwise. Okay, let's see. Alright, soldering iron. I was like,
This is a new skill. This is a legit new skill.
My left hand is so bad at this kind of stuff.
This is great. All right, you can do this. Come on, you got this.
Okay. The right hand, I feel okay guiding my right hand like this. Wait, I think I just knocked the wire out. Oh no, I didn't.
All right, just so everyone knows what's happening, Jeb's watching the screen, trying to solder while watching the screen that we're filming from the second camera on, instead of looking at the actual thing that he's soldering. So this is rad.
Oh, the soldering iron's not on it anymore. I could never be a surgeon. Holy shit.
Gives you an appreciation, huh?
Yeah.
How tough that must be.
I think I just have to look directly at it. I burned part of the plastic on the jack because I wasn't looking. I think that's a sign.
Next time we do a build, we can do a blindfold build. Kind of like a blind speed run. Have you seen those?
I have seen those, but you have to actually be good at speedrunning to do that.
That'll be for our, when we do the noise instrument, it'll just be like build something with a blindfold on, and whatever happens is just like the instrument that we end up with.
If it outputs sound, it counts.
Yep.
Oh, poor Jack. This is what I've...
Alright, check out the damage, y'all.
It's kind of hard to see actually, but I just burned it slightly because I could not conceptualize where my hand actually was.
So if you look at that again, do you think that'll impact the functionality of it?
No, not at all.
So that's another good thing to point out, right? There's, again, with these output jacks, there's just a couple parts that will actually impact if it works or not. But you can melt it in certain parts and it's fine. So interesting stuff. So they're like definitely fragile, but also pretty durable. It's yeah, it's weird. It's a duality.
Yeah, strip this wire a little more also. Get this wire to go through this little lug hole, and that actually should be the final solder that I have to make, and then I think finally there we go, and then I think it should be ready to test. It might be a little noisy because it's not totally grounded in the way it should. I thought they would send me like a 1/4-inch jack with 3 plugs on it for proper grounding. You don't actually need it to function, but oh well. That's another part that we could figure out how to source at some point. Yeah, okay. You can see the lug there. Oh damn, did I mess up the other one? Okay, yeah, this is the most fun part of the soldering, when you have to solder 2 wires to a lug, and one likes to pop out.
Do you ever use 2 helping hand things at the same time?
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's my least favorite part. It's so hard to do that and like not just have them. Well, I don't know. Maybe yours don't do this, but mine will pull apart from themselves.
Yeah, mine. I do feel like mine kind of like to do that.
That's the most annoying thing ever. Where you're just like, you're supposed to be holding stuff still, but you're like, you're the most tough part is getting these helping hands in the right place.
Maybe it's just because I have a cheap soldering iron. Maybe if I was a real professional, I would have a better tool. Wow. Big ugly solder. It's okay, it's going to be undone at some point later. Okay, I think the pedal's ready to test now.
Alright, how do you want to test this?
We just need any kind of instrument and a 9-volt battery and an amplifier. Or also, go to the bathroom really quick. Also, when I step out there, I'll grab a little amp and a guitar. See what we can do.
Alright. Cool. While Jeb's doing that, I think I'm going to go over DigiKey real quick. So, let me share my screen again. Blam. Clear this. Alright, so here's what I question everybody watching. So, building a project, building a little drone thing, and I've gotten the circuit, most of it's built, it's really close to being done. the remaining things that I need to complete are I need a power jack so I can power this thing up with a 1-spot 9-volt power supply, a 9-volt negative center power supply. Right now I've just been using an external power supply for it. The circuit works, it's great, it's making sound, it's awesome, but I don't want to have to power it with a battery, and I don't want to have to connect it to an external power supply every single time. So an input, 1-spot would be great. But where do I find the barrel for that? As we talked about in the middle of this live stream, the 7-minute fuzz calls it a mini power jack. So if I go to digikey.com, they sell electronic components, tons of stuff. I know another one is Mauser. Maybe let me know in the comments which you prefer, because I'm trying to figure out which one to use and which one's better. But I'm having not a great time with DigiKey. I'm having a pretty tough time finding parts on here. But if I look for mini power jack, like they called it on the 7-minute fuzz document, if I search for that, it comes up with this secondary filter thing. Top results for mini power jack. They call it a barrel power connector, so totally different language, so that makes it confusing. And then they have multiple options. Fiber optics receivers, I'm not familiar with that. Heavy duty connectors, maybe I need that, I don't know. Barrel accessories, there's one item in here. This is my assumption. I feel like I need to kind of drill into this one, but there's only 2. So I get 2 options. I get this thing and I get this thing. It's $1.61 each. I can get 800 immediately. I can order just one of them, so that's great. I don't have to order 800. But my issue with this is I don't know, again, since I haven't been able to find out the specs for a 1-spot mini jack barrel. I don't know if this is the right dimension or not. 1 millimeter, I mean, I don't know, 3.9 millimeters OD. Yeah, if anyone has any feedback on where to find specs for a 1-spot power barrel, that would be phenomenal, because if I can just order this one, I'd do it. That would be great. I just don't want to order the wrong part. Even though it's just $1.61, I'd rather just be able to order the right thing from the get-go. So, all right, that's where I'm at. If anyone has any feedback, knowledge on this, pro tips, I'd love your input. Again, this is a big part of what I'm hoping these regular monthly music instrument meetups will be about, is sharing knowledge and helping to mentor each other with the projects that we're working on, and also just build a rad community of folks that are stoked on building instruments. So yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. We're not quite done yet. I think we're gonna try to wrap up this live stream with doing a test on the circuit that Jeb put together. Yeah. What else? Once again, feel free to go to musiclandria.com, click on our events page. Show you where that is. If y'all want to know about upcoming events that we're doing here, you can go to musiclandria.com. You can go to the events tab and see what's happening at our space. So the next event is listening to the Owned. This is going to be a fun event with Mark Vale and some other guest musicians doing some rad music with the Owned. It's going to be really fun. And I've got a handful of other events that I'm hoping to do next week. Just remember, check into the events page if you want to see what's current. All right. So let's go back to the build. Let's test out the circuit.
Yeah, so you guys should just turn the camera towards me at this point. Yeah, so I don't actually know if this 9-volt I found works, but hopefully it does. First, I'm just gonna show the cleaning side of the amp. very crunchy.
There's distortion on there.
Oh, I see. Because I have normal gain. Is this not a good chord?
I like that chord.
Yeah, this is a nice chord.
Which one's the output?
Like an A11, I think. Oh wait, I need to remember. It's the one that's connected to the thing that says output. So this one is the output. Okay, so it works, sounds relatively clean. And now also, before I do this, I just want to say that as a personal mental health practice, I do not expect any electronics I build to work the first time.
Nice. Me either.
It's not go on. There.
Plugging in the battery. Plugging in the
Okay.
battery.
Oh wait, maybe it's the pod. Uh-oh. Hell yeah. So like wow, it worked the first time. I'm honestly a little bit shocked. And it
The warm
sounds
robot
fuzzy as
says.
hell.
The warm robot says. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
I'm honestly like that larger fuzz pedal I built the other week. Like it has more options on it, which I guess is nice, and it is a clone of a fuzz face, which is like a classic pedal. It does sound like that, but I honestly kind of prefer the fuzz of this, like a little thicker. I'm really shocked.
So what does the pot do? It's just volume.
Just volume, yeah. So that was off at first, which freaked me out a little bit, but yeah.
Yes. Sweet boy. Copyrighted stuff.
What's that? Oh yeah. Oh, that's fucking right. I should not play copyrighted stuff.
Alright, sweet. So the pedal works first time, that's great, that's really rare.
Yeah.
I think it sounds rad. 7-minute fuzz, how long do you think it took to make?
That took. I mean, it took about an hour. I think. I think if I was just sitting down and focusing on it, it probably could have been like 15 minutes or something.
Right. Alright, our 7-minute fuzz was an hour and 28-minute fuzz, but we could totally improve on that, I
Yeah.
promise. That was rad, yeah, pretty straightforward build. I mean, I wasn't building anything, but it looked like it was pretty straightforward for you.
Yeah. No, it definitely was.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that, I mean, this is what we have, right? So after building it, you've got something it works,
Mhm.
but putting that on your board is, I mean, you
Yeah.
could totally do it, but.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it would be an aesthetic. I think if you were like a noise musician, especially. But.
Right. But yeah, I mean, this is the funny kind of interesting part of like building pedals is just like once you get the circuit working, that's just kind of, you know, that's definitely part one. The enclosure is also just as potentially challenging.
Yeah.
Right? Figuring out, like, if you're going to build your own enclosure, like, how do you do it, right? Like, how do you make something that's, like, clean and that works? And also, if you're going to, I mean, if you're going to buy one, where are you going to buy it from, right? Like, where are you going to get the switch to turn it on and off, right? Like, where are you going to get that? How are you going to mount the switch into the enclosure, right? How are you going to, like, there's just lots of other details. Where are you going to get the knob, right, for the top of the pot, right? And again,
this one actually did come with a knob, but yeah. I think I lost it. Oh no, I found it. Okay, yeah.
Okay, sweet. Well, yeah, if it didn't come with the knob though, it's like making sure that you get one that fits, right? Like if you're ordering it from online, it's like, it's kind of tricky to find the right one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, yeah, and I will give a quick plug, since I was mentioning a pedal I built from this company the other day. Let me just look up. Yeah, I was saying earlier, this is a Australian company that mainly does PCBs, and you're kind of left on your own for most of the rest of it, aside from a few parts that they will give you. But there is an American company based in Washington,
If you tell me
which I'm looking up
if
right
you-
now. Yeah,
if you tell me-
buildyourown.clone.com. I just found it. Buildyourown.clone.com. They're one of the few pedal building kits I found that gives you absolutely everything if you want it. They give you the enclosure, all the knobs, all the parts you need, the foot switch. They will even actually give you a painted enclosure if you want one, though I feel like that gets into the range where you're paying as much as you would for an actual pedal from a company. But they have a ton of stuff on their website. It's a little pricier than something like this. I should have mentioned, I paid, I think, $12, not including shipping, for this little pedal kit, which is really almost nothing. I mean, that's like a lunch. These build your own clone kits are a little bit more expensive. I think for a fuzz face clone that I mentioned, I think I paid $60 for all of it together, which is still not bad, especially because it has more features than a normal fuzz face. But they do give you everything in a full instruction set, and that's really clear and easy to follow. So yeah, plug for that if you're curious right away about building pedals. They have clones of all kinds of famous pedals and stuff that might be a little more inaccessible if you wanted to actually buy a new one.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, I think we should wrap up the stream on that. Built a pedal, tested it out, it works. Yeah, maybe part 2 of this is the enclosure part, or I don't know, we'll see. I'm definitely going to be organizing another one of these meetups, right?
For sure.
Again, last time I'll say it, check out our website, click on the events tab to sort of follow what we're doing. If you're in Sacramento area, also you can find, I'm posting our events on Meetup, so there's tons of events that we're starting to do now. Not only instrument meetups, builder meetups, but like lots of other fun things as well. So reach out, let's connect. We'd love to meet with you and chat about what kind of projects you're doing. And all right, we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.
Bye, y'all.